give Banda Aceh, both before and after experience this both timeline, I think you find today's topics especially meaningful. And as historians of Aceh, uh, me walking through the city center from Masjid Raya to the streets where the mayor office today, from this landmark, BS landmark, to the mosque right before Mabes Polda in Jilinke, right? This is the space. It's like a space where I usually travel. I think. Check. Okay, it's better. Got it. So imagine yourself, you are from Masjid Raya and then to the Mayor Street where the Mayor office is there, and then from this building to the one of the mosques right before the Mabes Polda. All right. Um, walking through these streets often feels, for me at least, often feels like stepping into an architectural time machine. Why is that? So from Jembatan Pantai Perak, like, let me give you an example from Jembatan Pantai Perak, and then you start seeing the surrounding area, rows of modest vernacular shopping house, then outstanding Masjid Raya Mosque with its timeless domes carry the echoes of Aceh's long traditions. And then you walk down the streets where the the mayor's office, you start to feel quite struck, for me at least, kind of struck a little bit with the structure, with all glass and steel, with sharp, dramatic angles, very futuristic, comparing to the surrounding buildings. And when I was a lot younger, I used to imagine like maybe Power Rangers are coming out of that mayor office someday. So if you're familiar with the Power Rangers, I mean, we are the same age. Um, now, to be clear, this is not a criticism to the architectural building. I'm far away from that. I'm just a global historian, and the only thing that close about architecture is my wife and my sister. So I don't really have a talks on that. But this suddenly, from very vernacular building to the very futuristic buildings, mayor office, sort of suddenly from tradition to that how such both bold modern designs speak to the heritage that surround it. And as yesterday panels remind us, architecture is more than structures. It speaks in many voices, sometimes whispering the memories of the past, sometimes making bold declaration of modernity. And these are not just design choices, they are part of how Aceh tell its story after conflicts and disaster. That's how I sort of in it. And today we have the perfect guides to help us explore these questions. Professor Dewi, she will lead us in rethinking architectural heritage, collective memory, and resilience in post-conflict Aceh. Let me introduce her a little bit. So she is the head of Research and Innovation Center and a professor in the Department of Architecture and Planning at University of Shakwala. She holds PhD from Australian National University. She has spent nearly 2 decades studying how buildings are more than bricks and mortar, but vessels of memory, resilience, and identity. Her work retheorized architectural heritage in a cultural process, weaving together identity formations, collective memory, political narrative, and multicultural heritage contexts. She's a global voice in critical heritage studies and a former executive director of ICAIOS, and a passionate advocate for a community-rooted approach to heritage. Today, she will show us that architecture in Aceh isn't just about style, it's about survival, adaptation, and meaning. And maybe by the end of the talks, hopefully we will look, or I will look, Mayor Office in different lights. Please join me in welcoming Professor Dewi. Give a round of applause, please.
tinggal next ya. Nanti tinggal bilang next gitu ya. Oke ya, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon everyone. I'm very glad today my senior, Prof. Viner, Prof. Byron, Prof. Jack, Prof. Eka, Mahu, Jin, Reza, and Prof. Miyagi, and also Prof. Joe still here, and also other colleges that I cannot mention by one. And I forgot to mention Pak Dir. Yeah, Pak Dir senior as well, friend of me who always fight, discuss something. So today I want to take you quite different path or different perspective in saying conflict. Many speakers has talked about conflict in terms of like theory and development and then trauma, something like that. But part of my talk probably also overlap with the trauma. So I want to bring another perspective and case in seeing conflict and disaster and its impact and their impact on Aceh society. So place like architecture heritage were place of negotiation between trauma memory in post-conflict of Aceh. Okay. My presentation today borrow conceptual framework from critical heritage studies. David Harvey termed heritage is a verb, not a thing, an action that no one can precisely notice. Thus, the sense of heritage are when we emotionally engage in connecting intangible and intangible aspects of the present, the past, as well as valorizing of ordinary past into a meaningful past. The two aspects, tangible and intangible, work together as a process of social remembering to create a meaningful past for people. In this sense, remembering becomes a central issue in critical heritage studies. The importance of the act of remembering lies in the role of as an important element of collective identity of a social group. Remembering process provide connection with the past to enable us to define our identity. As Harvey argued, through understanding of the meaning of the nature of what people tell each other about their past, about what they forget and remember, memorize, or faking, that heritage studies can engage in academic debates beyond the confines of present-centered culture, leisure, or tourism studies. In addition, through understanding how people remember, we can understand the importance of the past for present. The memories that we have in common with are identified as collective memory because we also have memory like how the way our brain working. So that's physical, that dealing with physiologists. But here I'm talking about collective memory because collective memory are socially connected. The memory inherently the fabric of heritage, but rather they are transformed, transferred, negotiated, and even betrayed and forgotten. The AHD, Authorized Heritage Discourse, that now embedded in a lot of UNESCO regulation, actually promoted the European elite authoritative understanding of heritage that has spread through architecture school, archaeology school to any part of the world. The framework of elite European understanding through international organizations like UNESCO and e-commerce. That's why I'm taking part to bring another voice of the community understanding of memory, of heritage. What in this presentation I call Organic Heritage Discourse, or OHD, a heritage definition defined by a group outside the AHD and emerging from grassroots context. By the concept of OHD, I mean heritage process with privilege, communities value. Okay, we all understand, so I won't repeat this. We have conflict, we have disaster, but the two big events remembered differently in public space of Banda Aceh. Probably you will be noticed a lot of tsunami memorials, yeah, everywhere, but where are conflict memorials in Banda Aceh? That's actually we should pose a lot of questions as Acehnese because in Banda Aceh we cannot find only like a room in office of the government. I forgot the name of the office, somewhere in Kota Alam. So that's the only way conflict memory displayed to public. That's why conflict memories, and then where the conflict memories and where other memories interact. Baitur Rahman Mosque, I take the example, is like a place where memory and identity are negotiated. The mosque, not only as spiritual or historical and social anchor, memory also embedded in everyday practice and religious practice in the mosque. So architecture's place like Islamic building like the Baitur Rahman Mosque carries various layer of memory from Islamic, colonial, conflict, and disaster. So this is like the image of the mosque, where in my interview back then, 2012, people describe as a safe place or place where they seek refuge. So you can see how the Acehnese dearly love the mosque. This picture taken 2012 when the umbrellas were not here yet. The mosque is seen as a safe place for seeking refuge from a disaster. So an organic way of being resilient is being in and visiting the mosque. Even though the mosque were not designed